You're on mute, my G.
You're dark, like you're sitting in the dark.
You know what it is? I have this red light on, and I forgot to turn it off. It said white.
Mm, it's it's not giving.
It's not different. But when we take a break, I will adjust it.
No, you can drop
And I'm
down if
looking
you
at my glasses, and it looks like they did not put the blur in them.
so you can drop down. I'll take it from here. Welcome to another show of Howie Lennox, um, where you'll find the latest and greatest of Linux, DevSecOps career, you name it. We talk about it. You know, try to give you some insight on what's going on out here in the world. What's going on in the world, Craig. We're taking over the globe. Pay up, pay up, pay up, pay up. Y'all ain't know. From Atlanta to Cheyenne, y'all don't even know. If you know what that is, you should know. You should know. If you know, you know. If you know, you know. I'm trying to find some books or recommended Linux books. I have my own recommended Linux books, but then there's what others think. So, and I'm looking for what they got out here. See what's cracking lacking. Well, we'll go with that, and then I give my own take. I'll give my own spin on it. How about that? How y'all doing tonight? What's going on, Cash? How art thou? Yeah, D's over there in the dark. That's what she was doing. What's going on, C. Liam? How you doing? That's good. All right. So, what do we have tonight? We got a lot to discuss. We got a lot of things to talk about. Mm, the stuff I talked about before, though, but I like to kind of go over that again. Make sure, we reiterate, what that could look like. Because I think a lot of times, if I don't reiterate, I feel like it's going to come up and ask again. So, what am I talking about? Linux career paths is what I'm talking about. Linux career paths. I give you I did a show on this a while back, not too long ago, but I just want to kind of rehash some of those conversations, some of that um uh, thoughts, but I want to give some takes on some stuff, and so we can have an open dialogue about it, and then we can kind of go from there. I just want to see what everybody else has. Uh, I mean, that'll work, but I guess. All right, so let's get started. Top IT skills in demand for 2024. This came out in February. Um, the reason why I picked this is because you'll see the top five dead or alive, right? So top five. AI, technical support, networking, cloud computing, Linux. Linux can include all the top four right here. It can also include web development, programming languages, database administration, machine learning, compliance, pen testing, automation, information security. It include all those things. So when we talk about Linux, we have to look at it from a total perspective, right? So when you think about Linux, the first thing you should think, okay, well, Linux runs on, it's an operating system that runs on a server. It's an operating system that runs on a set of machines. So when you think about it, it has to know something about the hardware underneath. So there's the kernel, right? So when you think about a kernel, Windows has a kernel, Debian has a kernel. They all have a kernel. The kernel is how the actual hardware, or I should say, how the operating system communicates through the kernel to the hardware, right? So if you've never seen it before, let me show that. And there are jobs out there that literally, that's what people do. Okay, is they literally do kernel development. So right here, so you have the kernel, and then really what you have is an operating system, and then applications that fall on top of that operating system. And then you have, well, I don't know what that is, structure of a corn kernel. Oh, okay. I thought it was something else. I was like, that can't be on the screen. And then you have the kernel, and then you have the actual physical hardware. When I say the physical hardware, meaning you literally pick up a memory stick, a CPU, so forth and so on, right? So this is the kernel, and here's the applications, but the applications ride with an operating system. You just don't have a kernel and then applications. You actually have an operating system that ride on top of that, right? So that's the kernel. So when we start talking about Linux and programming languages and hardware and database and getting into information security, there's kernel security, right? That's a job, right? That's literally an actual position, right? Kernel security, all right? So here I'll bring this over. Right here it says, in telecommunication, the term security kernel has the following meanings in computer and security, communication security, right? The central part of the computer or communication system, hardware, firmware, software that implements the basic security procedures for controlling access to system resources. So if you ever booted up a machine, you can harden the BIOS. You could then secure the BIOS. You can set RAID controllers. You can set pass throughs. Basically, I want to pass through the hardware directly to the actual hypervisor and so forth without having the actual operating system. So there's so many different things when we're talking about what does it mean to have system and kernel security. Those are actually jobs. No, it's not too late. It depends on what you want to do. Sharon, depends on what you want to do. I mean, it depends on what you've been doing, right? I mean, you got skill sets, you got skills that you've had for years. You got to figure out how to take those skill sets and get them to work inside of tech. And when I say inside of tech, meaning you can work. Let me ask this. Let me flip it this way. What kind of company do you think Walmart is? Is it an e-commerce? Thanks for becoming a member. Right. So if you go look up Walmart, it'll say wholesale, retail, and trade. Right. What else about how does Walmart know when to stock the shelves? How does Walmart know um for the POS systems? How do they sync all the stores? Any idea? Now, fun fact, Walmart got two data centers, one in Colorado Springs and one in Jane, Missouri. I just looked it up. Walmart data centers. And they built that one in Colorado Springs. They built that one in 2021. Walmart to build $100 million data center in Colorado Springs. All right. Walmart OpenShift contributions. Let's go look and see what the latest and greatest is. That was from 2018. Let's go see if we can find something from now in the past year. Let's look at it. OpenShift, transform industries with container orchestration, so forth and so on. Let's look and see what Walmart is one of the largest retailers and trusts OpenShift to power its e-commerce platforms. Right. This deployment guarantees high availability facilities, rapid updates for its extensive online shopping infrastructure. OpenShift container orchestration ensures that Walmart online store can seamlessly handle high traffic volumes during peak shopping seasons. The platform's ability to scale horizontally allows Walmart to add or remove resources as needed to meet their demand. Amazon has integrated OpenShift, right? Manufacturing. General Electric has integrated OpenShift. Toyota, right? So when we talk about the reaches of different industries that were Linux lies, as an operating system, the reach is far. Navy, most of your federal IT reaches inside of that, right? So when we talk about security, it could be security at Walmart. It could be security of the kernel. It could be security of OpenShift or containers. It could be security of the POS system. It could be security of the trucks or traveling. It could be a route estimation. It could be a number of things. So you gotta think outside of the box when you're talking about what jobs are out there, where does Linux touch. All right, so we showed that. I'm gonna minimize it. All right, so let's get into this. It says CompTIA research team identified the top skills for 2024 based on an analysis of job postings, data from Lightcast over a 12-month period. ending on December the 23rd, December 31st of 2023. The 4 pillars that never go anywhere. Number 1 is infrastructure. I say it to you time and time again. You can't, there's no cloud without infrastructure. There's no cloud without networking. There's no cloud without hardware. It just don't work that way. So if you want to be in the game for 20, 30 years, stay on the infrastructure side. A lot of people tell you, oh, you're not gonna get paid. Oh, you're not gonna do this. Oh, you're not gonna, yeah, okay, whatever. Sure. Right? Development. Somebody's got to keep producing new things, creating new things, updating old things. One thing that's never going to go away is data and analytics and cybersecurity. You can pick any one of those. And every last one of those, infrastructure development, data and analytics, cybersecurity, Linux touches. Every last one of them. Right? This also contains additional professional skills that can be added below any component. Each component represents different level of skills you can continue to learn any further. Okay, so infrastructure, AI. Before diving into functional pillars and professional skills, the newest skills on the list reflects one of the most disruptive technologies ever, and that's AI. And then they go on to read more about AI. But if you know anything about AI, then you think about chips. If you know anything about chips, you also got to think about climate control. You also got to think about data centers. You got to think about servers, right? Even with GPUs and so forth, right? Technical support. Somebody you got to call somebody when that app don't work. You got to call somebody. And then networking, right? Networking, cloud computing, right? Cloud computing, Linux. This year's organization rely on IT pros to know how to operate Linux successfully. Basic maintenance, installing and configuring workstations, networking, and understanding the Linux command line are skills that tech workers should be mastering. I didn't write the article. I'm just telling you, it's something that you need to know. Just have it as a baseline. When all else fails and I don't feel like working, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna be a Linux admin. I'm gonna go be a Linux admin. Right? I am. Let's see. Went to Dice today. Let's go full time. Last 7 days. Direct hire. And then I should do easy apply. Like if my stuff is out there, like just let me easily apply. This is what cracks me up. This right here cracks me up. A senior Linux system administrator, Kubernetes specialist. I keep saying like Kubernetes and Linux and DevSecOps, they all run together. They all run together. I don't make this up. All right, senior Linux admin, senior Linux admin on site, Linux systems engineer, senior systems engineer, Tennessee. I mean, lead Linux admin, Red Hat Satellite, Centrify, CyberArk, ITL, lead experience, Linux, Solaris scripts, Sans, NAS in Montreal, Canada, Azure data engineer, Linux engineer, DevOps engineer falls under that. Like I say, I think the Linux sysadmin is the now DevSecOps engineer. That's just my thought process. Infrastructure engineer, infrastructure tester. The names go on and on and on. Now I don't know I never tried it. Let me see. I never tried it. Can I do that here? Let me take out the comma. I just want to see if it'll pull back numbers. See, at least on what you call it, they give you numbers on Indeed. So let's go back over here to Indeed. And let's do Linux system administrator, and let's do 200. And then let's search anywhere. All right. So I did this Saturday with the cleared one. We saw that one. But here's the system administrator. When they say system administrator, they probably mean Windows, but let's see if they talk about it. All right, so between 175 to 275, tier 1 Mac OS, you gotta have your clearance. Oh, right. Oh, here's one that's part-time from 50 to 150 an hour. They don't have much on here. Let me see. Work. Let's see. Here we go. Right here. We're seeking a Linux system administrator to optimize and maintain our Linux cluster infrastructure, ensuring for reliability, security, and performance. This position will maintain, upgrade, and provide support for backend services and pipelines. Understand Linux cluster research. Again, high performance computing. That's what this is. It's an HPC cluster. Automate stuff, push stuff out, get paid 50 to 150 an hour. It doesn't say how long it is, but let's just say calculator. You go in at 150 an hour. Let's say you work 25 hours a week. Let's multiply that by 4. Let's say the project is 15,000, so that's a month. So let's say you do it for a year. Say you stay on with them for a year. That's 180,000 on the side. I mean, I think you can make it, right? It's all right. It's on the side, a little side money, right? A little something, something, right? Let's see. You can go all out. Again, like I say, when they got a range like this, they're gonna usually fall in the middle of that range, so 150 to 275. So really, the offer will probably be depending on the candidate, but typically they're gonna come in the middle, right? Divide that by 2. Your offer is gonna be 212. They go up to 275. You could probably negotiate. They give you some room to negotiate, right? So you can come in and ask for more. And sometimes some people offer you the 275 off the rip, right? If you're a good enough candidate, they'll offer off the rip. You multiply that by 0.7, then divide that by 12. Oh, it's about 16,000 a month. Not bad. Not bad, right? That's take home, right? 16,000 a month. Keep your bills around about 7 to 8, give or take. Give or take, right? Keep your bills around 7 to 8, give or take a month. You can stack 8,000 a month, right? Stack by 8,000 a month. Times 12 is 96,000. You do that for, I don't know, you stay at a company and you do that for 7 years. You've been had 672,000 saved up, liquid cash, whatever. They say after you get your first 100,000, it usually take you about 7 years to get your first 100,000. I just showed you how you can get your first 100,000 almost in a year. It's on you, right? So you can get 100,000. You can make 100,000 saved up in a year. It usually takes the average person, they say, 7.5 years to make their first 100,000. I just showed you how to cut it into a year. Once you cut that down into a year, to go from your money doubling and so forth, to get to that million, it typically takes 28 years. It says 28.5 years. I just showed you how to get 100,000 in a year, right? So if it takes you 28 years to get to a million, money explodes after saving 100K. Like, while your net worth explodes after 100K, right? That's what it says. Your net worth explodes. Why net worth explodes after 100K? You can go look these videos up. I looked at them a couple of times. So it's of course, it's the power effect of a compound interest, but saying saving your first 100K will roughly take you 7.84 years if you save 10K each year. I just showed you how to save 8,000 a month. Like, get your bills down, say 8,000 a month, right? You be at that 100,000 before that 7.5 years. So let's go to my favorite. Let's go to my favorite. We just gonna say you got the 100,000 in the first year. We're gonna put $100,000 in. We're gonna say you're putting away 8,000 a month, right? You're putting in 8,000 a month. You got it over. Let's do this. Let's do the 7.84. Let's do the 8 years. Let's do 8 years, right? Let's play that game, and let's say you got 8% in there. Let's say 8 years. Could be at 1.2 million in 8 years. Choice is yours. All right. So let's get back. Develop programming languages, web development, quality assurance, UX, UI, machine learning, database administration, Databricks, Snowflake, Postgres, MariaDB, Redis, any of that, MongoDB. Learn those, have that in it, especially if you work in finance or you work anything along the lines of data engineering, data analysis, data viz, data science, big data, cybersecurity, information security, risk analysis, cybersecurity analytics, penetration testing, compliance, and then additional professional, right? So professional skills like listening, being able to present, being able to have empathy, adapt. Project management is going to always be a thing. Being agile, helping move projects along, help meeting deadlines is a thing. Business skill, automation. Automation is going to save you a ton, right? Whether you automate making SOPs or whatnot, you can get it, right? All right. So then they talk about from CompTIA's perspective what they would like, right? For with the A+ and so forth, right? So I'll drop this link in there. All right. So we looked at DICE. I just went through some jobs, right? All right. So one of the main things I wanted to talk about was, where was Linux at 20 years ago? And where were you at 20 years ago? Some of you were probably kids. Some of you probably didn't have didn't even know about it. But where were you at? What were you doing 20 years ago? And how come you're just now learning about Linux? What was stopping you from knowing about Linux? Right? What was the issue? So 20 years ago, 20 years ago, Linux was on the shelf. You could literally go, let me go back, let me say 22 years ago, 24 years ago. You can go buy Linux on the shelf. You can literally just walk into the store. Oh, I don't want that on there. Oh, it's not up. You can't see. Okay, cool. You can literally walk into Barnes and Nobles and go to the shelf, and you could buy software off the shelf. Literally, you could go buy Red Hat in a box. It came with a little disclaimer. It didn't come with no book on, hey, when you install this, click here, click that. That wasn't a thing, right? That wasn't a thing. And to be fair, let's see. Red Hat wasn't even founded until 93, right? Red Hat wasn't founded until 93, right? So Red Hat, when I got to it in 2000, 2001, they were still, they didn't have courses. It wasn't no it wasn't no courses. You didn't take Red Hat training courses like you do now. It wasn't no learning subscription. Learning subscription just came out like in 2015, right? So one no, it wasn't something that people really talked about. People were using it. The government was using it, but nobody talked about it in school. Everybody talked about Windows and Apple, right? Windows and Apple. So nobody never talked about Linux. So anybody that went to school in the 90s, they didn't get exposure to Linux. And so going forward to the 2000 era, I think there was some exposure to Linux, but not from a perspective of you need to learn this and learn how to use Vim and learn how to use Firewall D and Yum and so forth and so on. You might have got exposure to Unix, but it wasn't Linux. Back then, there was this company out there called Silicon Graphics, and Silicon Graphics was a big company back in the day. So Silicon Graphics right here, um, gone but not forgotten. SGI was a big deal, right? People hopped on Silicon Graphics, had a lot of stuff going on, a lot of 3D design. At the peak in the 90s, Silicon Graphics had legendary status among 3D and graphic designers who leveraged the unique power of these workstations and so forth. So SGI was huge. You could probably go on there for nostalgia purposes and get one off of eBay or something like that, right? But if you look here, you all should know this guy here, Mark Anderson. Mark Anderson. You're gonna say, Tamika, why should I know that guy? All right. So Mark Anderson, general partner of Anderson and Horowitz.
Andreessen.
Andreessen. Anderson. Andreessen. So when you look at him, he's 52 years old and he's worth 1.8 billion. He's worth 1.8 billion. And you wonder where he came from. Well, he came out of here, right? Look how old that computer is and working with 3D. SGI, so forth and so on. I remember walking into places and seeing computers like this. I'm like, what do you do with that? I used to try to look for them and be like, maybe I can buy one and set one up at home. Yeah, good look, right? So movies made with SGI. Let's go down this list because you probably didn't know. 1989, The Abyss, Ants. In 1998, Cats and Dogs. In 2001, Final Fantasy, Evolution, Gladiator, Hollow Man, Ice Age, Lord of the Rings in 2000. Jurassic Park, all their whole series. Star Wars, Starship Troopers, 1991, Terminator 2, The Matrix, Rugrats, Twister. They all came were working on this hardware, right? And then now you look at the guy, he's worth 1.8 billion. How? What happened? What happened to Silicon Graphics? What happened to them, right? I'll do a show on it. I'm going to talk about it tonight. But we can look at it here. 9 years later, SGI wrote it off its losses, selling the division for 57 million to equity investors from Accel KKR. But again, we'll talk about what happened to Silicon Graphics and what took place there. All right, we'll talk about that. All right. So why are we going back down memory lane? Because in 20 years, Linux will still be here. And we'll be looking back over and say, what were we doing with Linux 20 years ago, right? So we're in 2044, we'll be like, what we doing with Linux in 2020? Do y'all remember when everybody was talking about AI and quantum computing and the whole thing with blockchain? And you remember that? Y'all remember that? And people are gonna go back and pull up clips and videos and TikTok, and TikToks, as the old people like to say, the Tic Tacs. They're gonna go back and pull up the Tic Tacs, and you're gonna sit up here and you're gonna say to yourself, "I could have learned that. I could have been on the cutting edge." I remember when Tamika used to talk about that. Y'all remember? She had this little show, Women in Linux. I wonder if I can find it. Right? And then you're gonna go back and you're gonna say to yourself, like, I wonder how much money I could have made. How much money could you have made? How many careers could you have started? How many careers could you have helped create? How many data centers could you have helped create? How many applications could you have helped save? How many applications could you have deployed? The list goes on, right? But 20 years ago, most people weren't talking about Linux. And now, in this world, you can't even, there's no way you can go through life every day without Linux. Right? No way. So a career in Linux is what you should be pursuing in 2024. All right? So let's talk about it. It says Linux turned 31, and this is an older article, January, right? Turned 31, Linux Turbo, blah, 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 blah. Right? Okay, cool. All right. According to Conical, however you want to say, more than 96.4% of server applications are on Linux. In public clouds such as AWS and Azure, 90% of the workloads are underpinned by Linux, with Ubuntu being the most widely distribution used in Linux. It's also 40% of all websites whose operating systems are known, right? All right, so here is the global market with Linux powered websites. Overall, 39.2%. But you can go here in the top 1 million, the top 100, the top 10,000, and the top 1,000. And I'm assuming these are the top 1,000 websites. So should you consider a career in Linux? Betcha by golly, wow. Yes. The explosive demand for Linux talent. There is an explosive demand for Linux talent, and there is no let up. There is no let up. There is no let up. Say it to yourself. There is no let up. There is no let up. IT professionals with Linux are some of the most sought after candidates today. And it doesn't end there. Being a Linux professional will open doors for you in some of the fastest growing in demand IT careers, such as cloud computing, data science, DevOps, cybersecurity, software engineering, just to name a few, site reliability engineering, and so forth and so on. I'm not telling you something that I think is going to happen. I'm telling you something I have done. I'm telling you something that has bought me many of trips and flights. I'm telling you something that has helped me buy cars and houses and land. I'm telling you something that allowed me to invest. I am telling you something that has allowed me to do what I want to do, how I want to do it, and not look back. Do I have regrets in terms of not doing more? Absolutely. I should have did way more. Should have did way more. But there's still time. There's still time, right? So, in addition to a vast majority of AWS, GCP, Linux, and so forth and so on, you can then wrap your head around where Linux lies and what so forth, right? So, cloud and container, Linux, networking, security, AI, machine learning, storage, edge computing, web technologies. Here they talk about a career as a Linux sysadmin, getting Linux system certified. And to answer your question, Alexander, I've answered it. I've answered it 10 times on this show. You asked, aside from a Linux administrator, what other subfields or jobs called? Linux system engineer, Linux engineer, DevSecOps, site reliability engineer. You could go into Linux security, Linux and containers, Kubernetes, CKA, or the whole nine, right? They all are encompassing with the foundation of Linux, right? All of it, right? There are Linux certification exams for all skills. You can go get the LPI. You can go to Linux Foundation. You can go to Red Hat. It says getting acquainted with interview questions. This is the hardest part right here. Understanding the questions, right? Understanding when they're asking you a question on-prem versus cloud versus a hybrid model versus high availability versus backup and disaster recovery versus continuous flow or continuous monitoring, like understanding every aspect of that job, right? If you open up a terminal on your laptop, if you got Linux on your laptop, understand how the Bluetooth works, understand how the hard drive works, understand how the SSH, understand how drivers work, understand how DNS, how time, location, how to update the kernel, how to remove the kernel, how to remove modules for the kernel, how to create a module in the kernel. Yep. So you get every single thing in that, right? Job responsibilities. On my meetup last week, I literally broke down job descriptions. I think we even end up going 2.5 hours. I broke down job descriptions, how to read job descriptions, how to interview, how to ask questions, how to get people to how do you respond in the interview? How do you ask questions? I literally did all of that last week, right? All right, so I'm not going to talk about the capabilities just yet. So when I found this site, Linux Careers, right? It may be a playoff for somebody else site, but you can use Zipper as well too. But here they got Linux Careers. They have the latest job openings, career advice, tutorials, tips and tricks. You can set up RSS feeds, so forth. They only have 246 jobs on here. They got 101 questions and answers. Empowering free and open source projects. Post your job openings for free. And then they got all their latest and greatest right here, right? So senior security infrastructure engineer in Nevada, 116 to 160. If I click on it, the sector is Linux cloud computing, Linux education and training, Linux development. Is a permanent position. They're seeking someone that understands enhancements of Arrow corporate security infrastructure. What will you be doing? It's what you will be doing. You'll be design, configuring, implement, and maintain security platforms, associated software such as routers, NG firewalls. You can look up NG firewalls, antivirus, URL filtering, design, review, and ongoing assessment of firewall, VPN, SSL, application control, load balancers, triage and update resolution of tickets generated by CRM, ensure network security best practices, so forth and so on. What are we looking for? Somebody that understands Palo Alto, knowledge of private cloud, there again, on-prem, cloud, Azure deployments, as well as in AWS and cloud-based application security, LAN organization skills, so forth and so on. And right down here, they start talking about ability to work on Juniper, ability to work with Juniper firewalls, Unix, Linux-based system scripting is a plus, right? Scripting is a plus, right? So again, right, even in the security realm, you're still gonna hit that need to have some type of Linux in your background, right? All right. 6 type of Linux certifications for IT professionals. CompTIA, the GEOC Unit Certified Security Administrator is administrator. I have not dived off into what that is, what that looks like. You can check it out. The LFCE, the LFCS, the LPIC, the RECSA, 5 jobs to pursue with that certification. Desktop support engineer. Yeah, okay. IT security specialist, network analyst, sysadmin, Linux engineer. I'll add DevSecOps to that. I even throw in with DevSecOps, I'll even turn around and say somebody that understands. If you take the RECSA, you're going to understand containers anyway. So at a base function, you will understand containers. So working anything with containerization, virtualization, anything working along the lines of understanding VMware. Don't sleep on that. There's still people that hire for them. But as a platform, you'll probably start looking at Kubernetes, Rancher, OpenShift along that line. And once you start elevating and start tasking yourself to skill up, you'll just see now it's like, oh, okay, I just use OpenShift, OC to do some deployment. I learned how to create deployment files, or I learned how to use ham or operators or something of that nature. You're just gonna find yourself out there. Out of those 5 skills, there out of those 5, is there one you would think would be the best? It depends on what you like, right? I think really along these, the Linux engineer, system administrator, IT security is the one. I'm gonna always go with the one that pay the most. So if you ever think about what Tamika would do, I'm going with the one that pay the most. And so I'm gonna scale up with the one that pay the most, and I'm gonna look and see what the future of that job is. That's just my answer to that, right? I'm going with that, right? Linux engineer, I probably would go with that. A Linux engineer installs operating systems on computers, you don't say, and ensures that everything works properly by managing and avoiding security risks. Linux engineers also complete requests for change management and implement preventive measures. Yep, sounds like something I would do. I will go for the RHCSA. If you ever need to know, I'm probably pro Red Hat. And then I'm probably after Red Hat, I'm probably LPIC and then Linux Plus. That's my thoughts. All right. So on average, you got 122, but you can go as high as 196. Go as high as 196. Right. And we saw the one for 275, right? Good old rack space. Let me look, see here. I'm looking up something. Mm, let me do it this way. The highest salary of a Linux engineer in the United States. Let's see what we pull back. So they got from ZipRecruiter 178 at 86 an hour. That's not that. They probably get paid way more than that. 159. I hate when they pull back India, and I know why. 115, that's about right. 134. Linux engineer 2 days ago, 107. 124, California 132. Yep. One something. 178. I'll go with between 80 to 200,000. Once you start adding staff Linux engineer, principal engineer, that could go up to 253 to 300,000 easily. Let me get my mouse. Let me go over here. Let me see. What was the name of it? Mm-mm-mm-mm. All right. Let's not do that one. Mm-hmm. I'm coming. 1 second. Let's look at. Hold on. Let me do this. Oh, perfect. Okay. Are y'all ready? Let me see. What my likes looking like? What my likes looking like? Oh, 22 likes. Are y'all serious? Mm-mm-mm. You can't even get a like up. Tell you. Gotta be more careful out here in these tech streets. All right. So let's go. All right. So the staff system analyst, it was a Linux admin job actually. Starting salary for this position is $138 an hour or $253,920 annually with 4 weeks of paid vacation. The way this works is every hour you work, you get paid. So if you work 50 hours, you get paid 50. You work 60, you get paid 60. So it could be more, right? So let's go do the calculator on that, right? So 153 an hour. Let's say you work 40 hours 1 week. Let's say let's clear that out. Let's say instead of 80, let's say you worked 100 hours in 1 week. Right? So well, not in 1 week, but in a 2-week period. So in 2 weeks you got paid 15,300. Right? But let's say you worked in a 2-week period. The first week you worked 100. Well, first 2 weeks you worked 100. Let's say the next 2 weeks you worked 114 hours. Multiply that by 100. All right, 11,000. So we'll just go with 11,000 plus 15,000. Whatever that was. I think it was 15,400 or something like that. I don't remember. Anyway, so 26,800, right? So you could easily bring home after taxes 0.7 about 18,000, almost 20,000 a month. Not bad. Not a bad haul, right? Not a bad haul. Turn around and work that other job that's paying you the 140 an hour at 25 hours a month, so 25 times 4. I mean 25 hours a week, so times 100. And then let's say you work that for, I don't know, a year. All right, so if we divide that by 12 though, it's 14,000 a month. So 14,000, this will be no taxes taken out, right? I'll go ahead and take tax out. I'll be nice. So 9,800 plus that, what was that, 25? 9,800 plus the 26, oh no, plus the 1876 plus the 18,760. So yeah, you could bring home almost 30,000 a month. Nah, you let me know if that's good. I don't know. Yeah, maybe like that's too much work. I think a beginner should learn on some people like Rocket Linux, CentOS. I'm gonna tell you to learn on what's gonna get you paid, and I go with Red Hat. I know people think I'm advocating for Red Hat all the time. I'm not advocating for Red Hat. I'm advocating for you to be paid. That's what I'm advocating for. You can go down the Ubuntu route, but you'll find that in production, most people are probably Red Hat. But who am I? All right. So, all right. Learn about the systems engineer. Learned about that. So I kind of went on the deep dive. Let me do this. I use GPT to kind of tell me some stuff. I say 20 years ago, in 2004, Linux had already made significant strides in its exceptions in the 90s. Here's a snapshot. The server market had begun to establish itself as a formidable competitor to the server market, right? Linux established itself, I should say that, It was widely adopted by businesses and organizations for web hosting, file serving, and other server related tasks. Linux servers were praised for their stability, performance, cost effectiveness. It was nothing to stand up a Linux servers and drop applications on them and partitions and RAIDs and so forth, right? Desktop adoption, Linux desktop adoption will relatively low compared to Windows and Mac OS, but there was growing interest in Linux based desktop operating system. That didn't really help. Linux and desktops weren't good back then. So distributions like Red Hat, Debian, and SUSE were gaining popularity. There was a big move for open source. So that's when you got the MySQL, the Apache, the GNU or GNU products come out and so forth. Then corporate support. People are like, hey, if I'm install Linux and I don't have nobody to support me, I need support. You ain't gonna have me out here flapping in the wind with my butt out, with my boot out, and I ain't got no help. Right. So major corporations began to recognize the potential of Linux and started to offer commercial support and services around operating system. So companies like SUSE and Red Hat emerged as key players in this on the support side of Linux, right? On the support side of Linux. Government and education, Linux gained traction in the government agencies, educational institutions, and research organizations. And a lot of those Linux servers are still there. And a lot of those Linux servers are being migrated to the cloud. Some are staying on prem, some are staying getting upgrades, some applications and stuff. So it's still there. Like mainframe is still there, right? Mainframe is still there. All right. So the low cost made an attractive option for public sector deployments, contributing to its growing visibility and credibility. The Linux community continued to expand, and thousands of developers contributing to the Linux kernel and various open source projects, online forums, mailing lists, conferences, IRC chats, and so forth came about. Overall, that's how Linux became what it became. It really became what it came because from a educational perspective, when I say educational perspective, like schools like University of Washington, your University of Oregon, so forth and so on, and those high performance computers and the government and the healthcare space made Linux what it is now. So in time you enter into those spaces, you're gonna see Linux in some capacity in those spaces, right? All right. What Linux skills do you need to be a great sysadmin? Command line basics, understand user and group, how to lock the system down, network fundamentals, process and service management, package and software management, shell scripting, and they got here's what else, right? Hop down here, they got here's what else, and I can contribute to this. I should. But I'd be too lazy to contribute to these things. I don't want to. I don't want you taking my sauce. All right. So I went down the rabbit hole here, and here's Red Hat's YouTube channel. I'm gonna have to go through these with a fine tooth comb from the summit. However, what I wanted to show you is that you can go on here and look at the different talks that came out of this, probably more so on the Red Hat Summit side, that you could probably get more talks. At least you can get some talks that were there. You can see right here they're streamed 2 weeks ago, streamed 3 weeks ago, streamed 13 days ago. They don't have all their talks out here, but they got some talks out here. They have some talks. And if you go over here to the videos, 6 days ago, 13 days, they don't have them on here. They really have them on their site. They really want you to come to their site, get their information, spend your time on their site. And then I went also down, hey, what books should you be reading? What books will help you in your career? What books are going to take you to the next level? Any of the books with the Phoenix Project, the that whole series there with Gene Kim is going to help you. But understanding Ansible, automation, even I would even throw in PowerShell, right? Understanding PowerShell, picking a configuration management tool such as Ansible or Puppet or Chef. Is I've been getting a lot of people asking about Puppet lately, and I'm like, is it back? All right. So that's another one. Another thing is understanding containers, Podman, Docker, understanding that, and then infrastructure as code. And you can go down Pulumi, Terraform, um, Cloud Formations. Really, if you want to be agnostic, it wouldn't be Cloud Formation, right? So Kubernetes is your big thing. Install Minikube, play with Minikube. Go right to Minikube website and install it uh, on your laptop and play with it and understand how Istio works and how do you deploy an application on there and what is Helm and what are containers and what are operators and how do I do what's the difference between a config map and a deployment and a daemon set and what is what what is how do I do environment variables, what's a job, what's a batch job, how do I do that, right? Start getting into all of these things because you're going to need them whether you're working in data or data engineering or ML ops. You're going to need them. Understand REST API, understand how to secure APIs, understand how to create an API. How do you create an endpoint for an application? Let's say you got a calculator and you want to create an endpoint. How do you do that? What does that look like? What's the difference between a back end and a front end and memcache and uh, what is a container registry? What is a just a repo? What is GitLab? What is GitHub? These are things you just need to know. I don't care if you are security. I don't care if you are a programmer. I don't care if you are a scrum master. You some fundamental things you're gonna have to know, right? So those are my thought processes. That's my uh thing about all of this here. I showed you a job. I know somebody's gonna be like, no, that's not a real job offer, but it is. It's a real job offer. It was a real job offer that was a real salary, and somebody would say it's not, and I would say okay. Like I can't I listen, I can't convince you what gets offered to me. I can only tell you, and you got to figure out whether or not you believe it or or if it's achievable. I can only show you what gets shown to me, and if you choose not to go down that route, that's okay. That's all right. I'm just showing you what's out there, right? I'm just showing you what's out there. Um, can you go down this route and it wear you out? Of course. Of course, yes. But you also have to look at the long haul. Um, and the long haul is I showed you one way where you could save $8,000 in a month. And they say it takes 7.84 years to save $100,000. I showed you how to do it in a year, right? Not 8 months, but a year. Um, and how to become a millionaire in a year. I showed you how to become a millionaire in 10 years. Now I just showed you how to do it in 8. Can you do it in 5? Yeah. You can go out find a job that's paying you 240. You live off of $100,000. You bank $140,000. And then you do that um over time, and you could do that. You could probably get to a million in 5 to 7 years. That's a million, not 100,000, but a million, right? So if you got 250,000 and saving 140, you may have a little side hustle so you can do it. You can get there. You can get there. So it's really on you and what you believe you can do and where you see yourself. If you see yourself coming into tech, being a product owner, product manager, you could do that. If you see yourself um going down the route of being a scrum master, then do it. If you see that you want to be a team lead, go do it. If you want to be an entrepreneur and contract yourself out and sell products and become a managed service provider, MSP, where you partner with Red Hat, you partner with Microsoft, you partner with AWS, and you become a managed service provider, you can do it. However, just know that when you are doing it, there are going to be people that don't believe that you could do it. And there are going to be people that don't even understand what you're doing. And it's okay. They don't need to, right? All you need to know is, do I provide a value to the customer and the customer want to pay for that value? Do I provide value to the customer and does that customer want to pay for that value? That's the important piece. Because if the customer don't pay, guess what? You don't get paid. And guess when you don't get paid, you don't eat. And when you don't eat, you don't sleep. And when you don't sleep, you're not the best and most effective person. So you got to figure out where you lie at, right? What's going to be of value long term? Is this sustainable long term? And when I say long term, I'm talking 10, 15, 20 years. I'm not talking 5 or 6. I think most people get a job, probably should stay there about 3 years and then out. Unless unless you are in a company where you are comfortable and you like the work that you do and you can move around, and you say you may be in a company like Nvidia, or you may be in a company like AMD or something like that, you may want to stay there, right? But you got to figure that out for yourself. You got to figure that out for yourself. All right, y'all. I hope it's been real. I hope this was informative for you. I just wanted to show you the different ways you can get into Linux, the different names, the pay, the different careers. I've done a career show on this before. That one website, it was a website where they got different names: Linux system administrator, Linux system engineer. I even talked about staff, principal, distinguished, so forth and so on. So you got to put in the work, right? You got to put in the work. And you've got to put in the work from the perspective of, you know, that it's possible that you may fail, but it is okay. It is something new that you're embarking on. It is something new. And 9 times out of 10, nobody around you is going to even understand what you're going down. They're going to be like Linux. They would like Linux small, or what is that?
Oh,
Yeah, that's my favorite. Learn
they
that.
teach girls how to code.
Yeah, these girls gonna teach people how to code. No, we're not. No, we're not. We'll teach you how to do some Linux. We'll teach you how to do a little security, maybe even a little burp suite, maybe even a little pen testing. But nah, that's what we're doing. That's about it. Do you want to add anything before we get out of here?
I think he covered it, my dude.
Okay. All right, y'all. It's been real. Hope you had fun.
It
Hope
was
you
a great
enjoyed.
show.
Oh, appreciate you. Thanks for the streaming information. We look. Yeah. Yep. Please go beyond the essential. Please, Alexander, go beyond what people are saying to you. Oh, and one other thing before we get up out of here. I want to do one other thing before we get up out of here. Before we go. Yeah. Before we go. Had to drop a couple of gifts
What?
before we get out of here.
That was 10. Nancy at Night, Bobby Axelrod, Sam, Game Over, Luxury Bucket List, The Jung, Chester, Axiom, Tigers. Are these people even here today?
Yeah, they're watching.
Oh goodness. You guys
They was
all
like,
got membership.
they was like, we out here, we hiding, girl.
Girl, they hiding. They hiding from the D. What is going on?
But that's okay. Hidden Figures.
You get a membership. You get a membership.
All right,
You
so
get a
y'all got a
membership.
membership courtesy of me. And again, again, yep, 500K earner, casual economist. Again, we do have memberships. I do, and people will tell you on the 300K and 500K.
Is it
I
200K?
don't. Yeah, huh?
I was
Which
getting 200K. That's the difference.
okay. I like the between the 300K and 500K. What I talk about in those shows, I never bring them here. I never talk about them here on purpose. Why? Because those people have paid their they have paid their time and effort. So I don't talk about a lot of things that are in those talks on these shows. Um, I am going to. I just talked to a couple of folks tonight. I talked to Don High, the container guy. He's going to be coming and doing the show. I'm probably going to do that exclusive for the 500K members. For the 300K members, I got some exclusive conversations that I'm bringing as well too. People that are in the industry. So it could be a number of things. I know you asked about what's the difference between 300K and 500K. A number of things. The list is there. It tells you, but it's also a way for me to talk about those that want to achieve to be 300K or 500K earners. And people will say, you got to have unique talent and you're gonna work 90 hours if you're a 300K. People say you're gonna work 90 hours if you're a 100K earner, and that's just how I know that those people have never made 100K. Um, we 300K, you're not working 90 hours. You're not. You may work 80. You may work 72. Right. And some month you might work 90. Right. You might work 90 in a week. You might. But if you work 90, the myth is you don't get paid for the time that you work, but you do. Like some companies pay you straight time. So if you work 90 hours and you get paid 138 an hour, you work them extra 10 hours, you're gonna get paid that $138 for those extra 10 hours, right? What's going on, Charlene? How you doing? Right. So I just want to put that out there. Don't listen to the naysayers because they don't know. And those that work like crazy hours or something like that, right? Who working 90 hours for 250K to 300? It's about the quality of the work, not the quantity. Yeah. Um. So again, if you're not getting paid those extra hours, most people are probably not working that. And I don't typically take jobs that say you got a mandatory work on Saturdays or something like that. I don't do that. And the other myth is that these jobs are all require you to be on call. Some jobs are not on call.
No.
Some jobs are not on call, right? Some are and some aren't. So don't listen to the naysayers. They're out here just trying to um discount your dreams. And discount what could be. So don't listen to them. Right? All right, I'm done. I did my gift giving.
You did. That was nice, friend.
Nah, it's okay. Figured it's the hardest day work, and somebody needed it. So y'all enjoy your life, enjoy yourself, and
Good night. We'll see you on
yeah.
Wednesday.
The myths are out there. You just all you need to go do is just look up $100,000 on YouTube or six-figure salary on YouTube, and you will find how the myths about this six-figure salary, this $100,000 is going to take you to the promised land, and it's going to lend you to become this millionaire, and it just goes on. Don't get me started. But that's it. I'm out. I'm not gonna get sucked in.
Yes, you are. Log out. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you on Wednesday at the meetup.